This is section 2.5 about absolute value, and our video this time is just talking about the basics of the absolute value function. So the first thing we want to show you is that the parent function always is going to look like y equals the absolute value of x. These are your absolute value signs. That's what it looks like. And so how you're going to go about graphing this is you have an xy chart where you have -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, and 3, and you're putting them into the absolute value and coming out with your absolute value of this number. So the absolute value of -3 is 3, the absolute value of -2 is 2, the absolute value of -1 is 1, and so on and so forth. And these are your points that you're plotting. So you're plotting -3, 3, -2, 2, -1, 1. And your absolute value is going to graph, it's going to look like this. It looks like a V shape. With this graph, your domain is -infinity to infinity, your range is from 0 to infinity, and your vertex is at 0, 0, specifically for this absolute value graph. In general equation for absolute value, the equation says y equals a times the absolute value of x minus h plus k. And in this equation, your vertex is going to be at the point hk. You'll notice that this, inside your absolute value, it says x minus h. So whatever value this h is, it's going to be, whatever value this h is, it's going to be the opposite of it when it comes time to put it here. So if it was a plus a number, it would be negative here. Does that make sense?
I would do an out.
Okay.
So let's say y equals the absolute value of x plus 2 plus 3.
So when I'm looking for my vertex, I'm taking this plus 2 as my minus h, and when I write it as the vertex, this is going to be a -2, 3 for that vertex here. Whereas if you had y equals the absolute value of x minus 1 minus 5, your vertex, here you have -1, so your vertex is 1, but this is a -5, so that point's -5. When you're graphing them, we have 3 steps that you're going to follow. The first thing is to look at your equation. So you have y equals the absolute value of x minus 4 plus 2. You want to identify the vertex. So just like we talked about over here, you want to take out your h and your k. So your vertex is 4, 2. You want to plot that vertex point. So on my coordinate plane, 4, 2 is to the right 4 and up 2. And I make my vertex there at that point. And then you're going to draw a sketch of the graph with the knowledge of what absolute value looks like. So you know the absolute value graph looks like a V. So this is going to be the vertex or that bottom point of your V. And that's what your graph is going to look like for absolute value.
You might also want to determine your domain and range. So the domain for this function still remains from -infinity to +infinity. And your range works with your vertex, and it begins at 2 for your y value up to +infinity.